Hi, I'm Margaret Seconet and welcome to my video presentation on Feng Shui. And today we are asking the question, what type of Feng Shui are you practicing? So, are you confused by the various Feng Shui information you've been reading or hearing? In this video, I'd like to help clear that up. But before we proceed or begin, I would like to pose 3 questions for you to answer. We will go back to these questions later on at the end of the video presentation and answer them at that time. So let's get on to that first question in our next slide. So question number 1 here. Is classical Feng Shui focused on the client's intention, and cures and remedies chosen are based on client's own taste and decorating style? So is this true or is this false? I'll give you a few minutes for you to answer, and we can get on with the next question. So let's get on to question number 2. Write your answers down on a piece of paper so that at the end of the video presentation we can go back to them. You can check your answer and find out if you've answered correctly. So question number 2. Classical Feng Shui divides a home into 8 life stations of career, knowledge, family, wealth and fame, marriage, children, and helpful people, and uses the 5 phases or elements of fire, earth, metal, water, wood to activate its designated sector. So is this true or is this false? Okay, so have you written down your answers? Let's get on to question number 3. Question number 3. Which of the instrument or tool is used by traditional Feng Shui practitioners? Is it letter A, crystal? Is it B, compass? Or is it C, a Bagua Map? So I'll give you a few minutes to answer this question. Again, the answers at the end of the session. So let's get on to our presentation. So as Feng Shui increases in its popularity, it has become very commercialized, and some of the knowledge and information have become diluted, conflicting, and confusing at times. So are you more confused as you try to learn more about Feng Shui? Let's try to clarify this a little bit more. So today we're just going to give a brief outlook on the 2 types of Feng Shui that's quite popular nowadays, and we'll touch on them this time. So there are currently 2 major types of Feng Shui practice in the Western community. So we have the classical or the traditional Feng Shui that's been around for a while, and we have the New Age, as what some practitioners call them, or modern, or sometimes they even call them contemporary and Western Feng Shui. Now, which Feng Shui are you practicing? Let us take a closer look at these 2 popular Feng Shui today and their differences. So here are the 2 types of Feng Shui. The classical, traditional Feng Shui that's been around since I can remember, and then there's also the modern, or some call it the New Age Feng Shui. So you will see 2 examples here in the slide. On the left is the traditional Feng Shui, and on the right is the modern Feng Shui. Now we'll go to a little bit more detail on this. First step up is the New Age or the modern Feng Shui. It's a new and simplified form of Feng Shui that has recently emerged in the West, which traditional and classical Feng Shui practitioners refer to as New Age or modern Feng Shui. It's a blend of modern psychology, color therapy, interior design, and symbolism with a mixture of Chinese and other Oriental culture and spiritual beliefs. It uses a different approach that adapts to the Western lifestyle, and remedies are subject to individuals' tastes and style to balance the 5 elements, landform, and the client's intention. So it's usually associated, as you can see in the slide here, on the left side, there are some markers there. It is usually associated with the Black Hat Sect or BHS, or sometimes they call it the Life Aspirations Theory. Now, this was developed by Professor Lin Yun and has been popular in the United States in the last 2 decades. And it's more of an art form, using objects such as mirrors and crystals to create and enhance the Qi energy, and also relies on intention and intuition to determine the Feng Shui of a space. Now, the modern Feng Shui does not use the compass directions. Instead, its tool is the Bagua Map, or the 9 life stations of life, which divides a house into 9 life stations of prosperity, fame, relationship, health, the center, the children, the knowledge, career, and travel. As you can see here in this slide, this is the Bagua Map with all the 9 stations of life. And the northern stations, which is in the lower part here, the northern stations. Oh, that's right. Okay. The northern stations of the Bagua Map is usually aligned with the main door, as you can see here. So they will superimpose this map, and usually the main door will be aligned to the northern sector of this Bagua Map. So even if it does not face a northerly direction, this is basically what is done. So it actually eliminates the use of the compass. It is not popular in Oriental countries where most of the practitioners follow or rely on the compass for their Feng Shui practice. So again, this is the modern Feng Shui, and this is the chart of a Bagua Map with the 9 life stations. And the other thing to remember is they have actually eliminated the use of the compass, because they usually align the main door with the north. Okay, so let's get on to the other type of Feng Shui that's been around for a lot of years. So this is the classical or the traditional Feng Shui. What is classical Feng Shui? It is basically a Feng Shui that utilizes and applies the methods from classical texts on Feng Shui passed down from masters to disciples. This is also the Feng Shui commonly practiced in Oriental countries. Now, it deals with matters of energy and our environment and is personal to each individual. Now, it is basically the science of finding qi or energy, harnessing it, and using it to help with our goals in life. It is all about tapping into the natural energies of the environment or qi in order to improve our life and help achieve our goals. Now, through the correct placements of doors and important rooms in our home based on the natural external environment, we can actually achieve this. Natural features such as mountains, waterways, rivers, meridian spots, and tapping into the correct facing directions. These were actually some of the features were in the ancient China, they actually have to refer to, but in our modern society, with our modern environment, what substitute for the mountains now are, of course, the buildings, the roads, the man-made parks or man-made streams, and other man-made or modern infrastructures that we have surrounding us in this time and day. So classical feng shui is not about objects placement or decorative items such as the toads, frogs, or the mandarin ducks. It is not about the aromatherapy or space clearing or colors. These are not found in the classical texts of feng shui. So it's not about interior design or decorating your living room. There are more in line. These are more in line with the modern feng shui practice now, which is more psychological and which uses more of the object placements. Now, classical feng shui, as you can see here, is based on the Luo Shu square. This is on the slide is the Luo Shu square with the 9 numbers, and classical feng shui follows the principle behind the Luo Shu square and the 8 trigrams or the Bagua, as shown here. So you have the 8 trigrams here, and the Luo Shu square. So a little bit more about this. Let's go to the next slide so we can expound a little bit more on the Luo Shu square and the Bagua trigrams. So the Luo Shu square and the Bagua trigrams have the similar 9 numbers here, and as you can see, I won't go into a lot of details about the Luo Shu square and the Bagua trigrams because this is just a feng shui presentation of the 2 different types of feng shui that is being practiced by feng shui practitioners out there. So as you can see here, the Bagua from number 1 to 8 has different directions. I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's of course the number 9, which I'm missing here, which is the south. Okay, so sorry, this slide will have of course number 9 here, number 9, number 9, which is the south. Okay, so each of these number belongs to a direction. So 1 will be the north, southwest. 2, east will be the number 3. Center will be number 5. Number 4 will be in the southeast. Number 6 would be the northwest. Number 7 will be the west. And number 8 will be in the northeast. And lastly, of course, will be number 9, which is in the south. So again, this is just a little brief insight into the Luo Shu square and the Bagua, which is the principle that is used in the classical feng shui. So let's go to the next slide here. I'm just going to this is just a sample of a flying star feng shui chart. So traditional feng shui audit would take in 4 factors, which are the environment, the building, the time, and the residence into consideration when it's being analyzed. And so an audit would take all these 4 factors, and all methods of the classical feng shui uses the compass or the Luo Pan, which is a Chinese compass, in its practice. Now this is a flying star chart of a Zen house sitting on East 1 and facing West 1. So those are directions, and built in the period 7 in Feng Shui. This period 7 is from 1984 to 2003. So this chart belongs to a house that was built in a time frame. As you can see from this chart, a compass is used to determine all the directions and where the house is located. Now, when it was built is a time factor, and the landforms would be its environment. So you have to take a look around the vicinity for whatever features are around the property or the house itself. And the last component would be, of course, the occupants of the house itself, the people or the residents who's gonna be occupying this property. Specifically, what they would be using when they do an audit would be the information or the natal charts or birthdays of the occupants or the residents and the family members who would be actually occupying this property. So all these are taken into consideration in traditional Feng Shui audit or analysis. So this is something that is something you have to be aware of just in case you're going to be doing a Feng Shui audit and or hiring a practitioner. Now let's get on to the next slide. Just quickly show you some of the tools that are used in traditional Feng Shui. Again, there's the Luo Pan in the center, and sometimes the Luo Pan can be too expensive, so a modern compass will actually do. Get a reliable one, and something like that you see here in the slide. And you have to also be aware that in the Feng Shui calculation, we actually use the magnetic north and not the geographic north, as sometimes you can see in your survey. So again, this is some of the tools that a traditional Feng Shui practitioner would use in his practice. So what happens when they get all the directions and come up with a chart of a house? What happens then is you can actually use this chart. So whether you're using a pie grid chart, which is here on this is a pie chart, as you can see, or you can see a grid chart here. Whether you're using a pie or a grid chart, you superimpose this on the floor plan to get the different sectors and the different energies that is in that particular area. So as shown in our slide here. So whether you have just a bungalow or where you have two-story houses, it's the same procedure. You superimpose this chart onto the floor plan for the first floor or the second floor of your home, or for every other level of your house. Okay, so now let's get back to our 3 questions. Question number 1. Feng Shui focuses on client's intention. I guess number 1 was, let's put it this way. Traditional Feng Shui focuses on client's intention, and cures and remedies chosen are based on client's own taste and decorating style. So this is, of course, false. Traditional Feng Shui uses uses the Loju chart and its principle. Okay. Number 2, classical Feng Shui divides a home into 8 life stations of career, knowledge, family, wealth, fame, marriage, children, and helpful people, and uses the 5 phases of fire, earth, metal, water, and wood to activate its designated sector. So what is your answer here? So if you answer false, then you've got it right. So the answer is false. Now question number 3. Okay, which of these instrument or tool is used by traditional feng shui practitioners? So is it A, crystal, is it B, compass, or is it C, the Bagua Map? So if you answer the compass, you've got it right. So the answer is B. Okay, so hopefully you have been able to gather a bit of knowledge here, and you have been a little bit unconfused and understand now what the type of feng shui you have been practicing or using. So join me again for more feng shui video and presentation. I've also started some health tips video presentation through just mini video series that I would like to share with you, as they have actually helped me in my regular health regimen. And so join me also on my YouTube, my blog, and Facebook page. So for other tips and information on upcoming seminars or online seminars as well, or books that I'll actually be putting out there. So again, thank you for joining me, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye now.